everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the CATA Secondary School Podcast. I'm your host, CJ Rosenborough, and in today's episode, we're diving in how to improve shared coverage between high school athletic trainers, whether that's between colleagues with the same employer or with an athletic trainer in a different county. We're excited to have Ashley and Katie joining us to share their insights and experiences, but before we jump into the conversation, let's quickly break down what we'll be covering in today's episode. So, as I said, we're going over improving shared coverage. So what does that mean? We're going to talk about current communication practices in Colorado, specific to the secondary school athletic trainers, what that looks like now, some of the shortfalls of it, and some of the benefits of it. We're going to go over the expectations of the hosting athletic trainer for events, and then we're going to dive into improving communication between secondary school athletic trainers in Colorado. So, we'll start off with you, Ashley. What are some of the experiences you've had with communicating between secondary school athletic trainers outside of your organization? Because obviously if they're inside, a little bit easier, but outside, what are some of the experiences you've had, either good or bad?
Yeah, outside is hard. The tracking down who the athletic trainer at that high school is can be difficult. Quite a few of them have some high turnover. So I try to call the school number and then get to the athletic secretary and then see if the athletic secretary is willing to give me the athletic trainer's contact info. Um, and then I will try to call or text them. I would try to do both so that they have a voicemail as well as a text message from me. And then I pray that they get back to me. Doesn't always happen, but sometimes.
Sometimes you get lucky.
You do.
Okay. Katie, what's it been like on your end?
Yeah, kind of the same as Ashley. It's hard to find people's information. Years ago I started just saving it, and you'd be surprised how you just send a text and you're like, "Hey, one of your kids was here today. Here's the information on their injury." And they're like, "I don't work there anymore." And I'm like, shoot. Do you know who does?" um or classically anymore, I text Ashley, "Do you know the athletic trainer at this school? Okay, cool. Do you have their phone number? Can I get it?"
Isn't that sad? It's like you have to go through three different, like Ashley doesn't work there, yet you go through Ashley to
Right.
figure out who that is. Yeah. I've had the same experience where I've had to go through other people to see, hey, do you know who this school's is? I'm like, it should be easier than that. And luckily, this is a good time to throw that out there. There is a list that's being generated. And Katie, I'll kind of let you talk on this, but there's a list of contact information and schools that's being developed to help us keep track and organize who's where so that we can improve that communication. Katie, you want to give a little info about that?
Yeah, let's see. So Scott and I started on the secondary schools committee 4 years ago now, I think. And essentially they were pushing Atlas, the Corey Stringer Atlas project, and getting everybody onto Atlas and put your information into Atlas, which is a great idea. And everybody should do that. Please go put your information into Atlas. You do need a lot of information from your school. So I do suggest you sit down with your athletic director. But in the process of doing that, the thought of having a list of all Colorado high school athletic trainers at which school they're at was started, I guess. What we did at the time as a committee is we went through every CHSAA sanctioned high school in Colorado, and we made contact with that school in some way to find out if they had an athletic trainer or not. Again, that was 4 years ago, so then everything changed. But from that, we started this compiled list, and then CHSAA had a list, and the CATA had a list, and I don't know, some organizations maybe had a list. And so what it came
Atlas.
down to,
There's
yes,
a lot
and
of
Atlas,
lists.
there were so many lists. And so finally, Lisa, the VP for our association, compiled that list. She started with the list. We have an open link on our secondary schools website on coloradoathletictrainers.org.
Nailed it. We'll put it in the description.
Yes. Yeah, thanks. And you can go and add your name and your school and email or phone number or both, whatever you want us to have. And we took that list, we sent it to Lisa. Lisa organized it in great fashion, according to me. Maybe not everybody agrees, but you can sure Control F and find whoever you're looking for. And so essentially we now have a pretty lengthy list. It was sent out to all of the major contractual organizations, I guess is the best way to say that, like the hospital systems, to get all of their information, at least their work email and the name of the person at that school. So there is a list. If you need access to that list, you can shoot us an email, you can email Lisa, you can email the CATA. It can be shared and you can see whatever information you want. If you want the information changed, you can also email us, and we can get the information changed.
Yeah, I think the biggest trouble with these lists is keeping them up to date, because when you leave somewhere, the last thing that's on your mind is, oh, I need to go update this list. So it's a huge undertaking. So huge kudos and props to our good old VP Lisa for getting that kind of running, and for you and Scott getting that groundwork going. There's been a lot of projects trying to get this running, and it seems like we're in a lot better spot. Just piggybacking off that real fast, how has Atlas worked for you guys? Has it been helpful? Has it not been helpful? Has it been somewhere in between?
I'm gonna be honest, my information has been on Atlas for, I don't know, as long as I've known about it. I don't think to use it to get a Colorado athletic trainer. I don't know, maybe I age myself on this podcast every time I talk. Maybe 10 years ago. I started just saving everybody in my phone as like athletic trainer, their school, under like their organization or whatever. And so I just like, I like either search the school name, I search athletic trainer and just scroll through them. Like I have a pretty comprehensive list in my cell phone, of, especially in the South Metro area, like Centennial, Douglas County, Jeffco, especially down here near me. I'm lucky our league has not, I swear the same people have been at the same schools in our league for forever, which is great. It's not a complaint to have. I'm not complaining, because then I can always get a hold of them. I know that if I need to get a hold of Grandview High School, that I can text Scott and Scott's going to respond and he's there. So that's really nice. But otherwise, I know other people use Atlas. Atlas is not my go-to to get the information, because for a while it seemed like there just wasn't up-to-date information on there.
They update it every 2 years?
Yeah, but it requires you to keep going in and putting your information in.
Mhm.
And that was the problem, is people, especially when you're new at a school, if you don't know the population of your school or the athletic population, or gosh, I think you have to put in the principal's name, the athletic director, how many sports programs you have. Like it's a lot of questions.
Yeah, I've only done it for an established school where I was just like, hey, I'm here. Ashley.
Yeah, I've tried to use the Atlas program to look up athletic trainers' numbers, and I have found their search part of the site very difficult to use. If I remember correctly, every time I would try, you'd have to like click on the state of Colorado, and then you have to actually zoom into the map and find the school, and then hope you're clicking on the right dot.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't, there's a better way, maybe, but so I stopped using that pretty quickly. And yeah, Katie is my search engine. So
just to be clear, Ashley and I use each other as search engines. It's great. It works 98% of the time.
It does.
Except for in August. So figure out who's where in August.
Yeah, that's a tough one. What's changed? What have been some moments where you guys have had positive experience that have improved a patient's outcome regarding reaching out? Like I'm kind of similar, where I've had my information on Atlas for 7 years now, and I've had all of 0 athletic trainers contact me proactively, probably. So I don't know if that's been super, super helpful, but there have been some experiences that I've had where me communicating with the other athletic trainer really, really helped. Yes, Katie.
So great positive experience, whether they meant it this way or not. If this is how it went down, not completely sure. When teams travel, so they've been to Arizona, they've been to California, wherever they've gone, because it's all different programs travel occasionally throughout the season, right? Usually spring break, which is the 2 that I'm actively thinking of. we've had teams in other states, and I'll get an email from an athletic trainer, and I'm like, oh yeah, my coaches would not have handed out my email. Like, they would have given you my cell phone number, hopefully, but who knows? Anyway, that's another topic for another time. But we've had athletes get injured in like California, which I'm thinking of, and I got an email from that athletic trainer who
Actually, that's
was
a good
like,
point. I've gotten one for
"Here's
baseball in
great,
Florida.
yeah. So here's the injury that occurred. Just thought you would want to know." And I'm like, "Whoa, cool, thank you, I appreciate it so much." Which I think that in Colorado all the time when someone lets me know, um, but for you know a California trip to get that information back is also like amazingly my coaches didn't call or text me about that injury that happened that day, but the athletic trainer on site thought to email me. So appreciate it.
I think it goes to show California gets a lot of flack, and deservedly
Hmm.
so, for not being regulated or licensed, but they're good ATs. They're good ATs there. They deserve to be higher than where they are,
Hmm.
as in far as regulation. But yeah, I agree. It's always so refreshing when somebody reaches out and like, hey, here's this injury, here's what happened, because I think we all know trying to get that information from the coaches not always the most accurate, and through no fault of their own. They got so many kids they're responsible for that they're not super familiar with like the injury terminology, so it doesn't stick in their brain as well. But oh, God forbid the kid comes back and they're the one giving you the information, and you're just like, oh Lord, I have no idea what happened. But if you get that communication, that initial evaluation from that athletic trainer, and they send you that information, I think the time that happened with the Florida AT, they sent me the information. The kid comes back, tells me all the wrong information. I'm like, so this didn't happen? Like, oh no, yeah, that's right. That's what happened. I'm like, and what about this? Like, yeah. That happened too. That okay, yeah, that's what. I'm like, dude, everything you said was wrong. Like, none of this was accurate. So it was super, super helpful. Sped up probably their recovery diagnosis, because that AT was able to get that information, and we were just it made it more seamless. So it's very like it's very nice when you get reached out to, I think. On the other side, and I know we all probably have drawbacks. So Ashley, I'll start with you. What were some drawbacks where improved communication would have been really helpful?
Um, I can think of a certain incident, and it was like a within our network miscommunication. And it's part of the within our system of athletic trainers that we are always trying to find better ways to reach out to each other. And a lot of us share athletes, which complicates things because
Mm-hmm.
then when we go into our documentation system, like what school are they under? you know, um,
Especially when
and
those
they could have,
athletes, yeah, they switch schools, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know this was a X school
yes,
athlete because they're playing sport at this other school. It gets confusing.
exactly. Yeah, and for us, there's still been a few incidents where we have an athlete who has multiple profiles just under different schools, and they don't quite share. So we all need to work a little better on working with injury tracking systems and how to better make that a cohesive change. But I would say that was one of the biggest miscommunications. Is the other athletic trainer put info in this kid's profile, but it wasn't under my school, like the kid that's at my school kind of thing. Um, so those little kind of missteps are always difficult. But I have at least been contacted by a few other athletic trainers outside of our district, and it is so lovely when they call you and let you know what's happened, especially when they had to send a kid to the emergency room so that you can call that kid's parent and
Mm-hmm.
follow up and make sure they're getting all the care they need and they're returning with the doctor's notes you need. So that heads up communication is just so fantastic.
Yeah, agreed 100%. It's tough with the EMRs. I feel like we always put the information in, and like there's whenever you're trying to improve efficiency, there's always going to be hiccups in communication. But that is tough. My biggest one has been JV football was traveling. I can't remember where they were traveling to. Not that it really matters, but one of the kids got hit. Athletic trainer did a full concussion evaluation, didn't send them back with anything. Coaches come back, said, oh yeah, he hit his head. Athletic trainer looked at him. And that's all the information I got. So I had to like kind of dive through and try and find that athletic trainer's information. And turns out he was diagnosed with a concussion. That information just didn't make it to the coaches. They said like he was held out, and that didn't make it back to me. So that probably delayed it by like 2, maybe 3 days of, okay, what are we doing here? We're kind of in a holding pattern. So that would have been super helpful if that like information was relayed. Because I know a lot of athletic trainers will say, hey, we're going to do the initial concussion evaluation. Make sure you're not dying. We're going to treat this like a concussion, but I'm not going to call it a concussion. We're going to go see your home athletic trainer and they'll do another eval. And then that official diagnosis can be made tomorrow or whatever. And kind of communicate that to parents of like, hey, it's probably where we're heading, but I want to see how time affects this injury. And so you've done your due diligence, but if that information doesn't get relayed on, we can have a potential drop another ball there. So one thing that I have always kind of struggled with or questioned is we have, and maybe Katie, you're in a different district than us, so maybe you can clarify a little bit on what you guys do. We have a consent to treat that's tied with our registration in our district. So our kids sign, we can treat them, we can share their medical information with whoever we deem necessary. With visiting athletes, you don't have that for you. Like they might have it with their athletic trainer. Have you guys had any issues with sharing medical information from athletes from away teams that have not provided written consent to do so? And is that a consideration that we need to take into account?
I definitely haven't. And by Katie's face, I don't think she has either.
I don't think there's a concern there.
There's not.
I can't. Here's the thing. I'm gonna speak to it in the same way that I speak to the doctor's offices when I call and they try to throw HIPAA back at me. I have an MPI number. If you want my MPI number, I'll share it with you. I'm a healthcare provider. I'm providing information to someone who also needs to have it for the safety of the athlete. I have no qualms with sharing that information back to who needs it. I do have a small hill to die on in this situation of if you have an athlete who has a major medical issue going to a school. So I've not had an athlete personally, but I have talked about it with the nurses from the school about doing this because I think it's pertinent and I wish it would have been done for me. Wrestler came. She has body temperature regulation issues where she will go into a seizure if her body temperature changes by 2 degrees. So, as a wrestler whose body temperature goes up really fast, she was seizing on the mat every match 5 times for the day of the tournament.
Oh my goodness.
Her parents were there. I found out the first match she wrestled. In a situation like that, if there is significant potential, right? Like that's not a maybe, this could maybe happen at any game and a coach just needs to be trained on this. This is going to happen every weekend. Call the athletic trainer at the school they're going to. That's weekly calls. I know. I hear myself saying it. It's adding a step to your plate. Call the athletic trainer at every school they're going to so that or train the coach to do it, train the kid to do it. Somebody needs to be letting the athletic trainer know that, hey, this person's going to have a seizure today. Don't panic. It's okay. We've gone through the medical steps to get her cleared to be playing this sport for some reason. That's a whole nother soapbox. But call the athletic trainer, right? Like, I get it. You see her every day. She probably seizes with you every day, right? Like, I had an athlete who had open heart surgery and was still wrestling. I don't know why they're all wrestlers right now. It's probably because it's winter season. Welcome to December. But that athlete, I didn't every weekend call because her parents went with, but I told her, when you get to tournaments, you go tell them. You go tell them, hey, my conditioning is still coming back. I had this. I'm going to have chest pain. It's fine. I've been cleared by a cardiologist to be doing this. But if you're going to evaluate her, right, like she's got a massive scar. They want to know what that's right. Like that's panicking when you're in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And chances are everything's fine. She's been cleared. But things like that should be shared ahead of time. And I I don't know, HIPAA be damned in that situation. You got to share the information when you have things like that. Again, major medical things. I'm not saying this kid takes an inhaler, let everybody know. I'm saying we have this person who can the whole stands are going to call 911 if they see this happen.
Your
Let them
treatment
know ahead of
plan
time.
will change drastically
Yes.
if you don't
Let
know.
let the officiating staff know, let the medical staff know, let the tournament coordinator know, so that if something happens, like we had our announcers know, like, hey, everybody, yes, there's an incident on mat 4. We're aware of it. It's being handled, because by seizure number 3 of the day, they weren't full like grand mal seizures, just to be clear, but they were, there was movement. And like they were like, we're aware of it, it's being handled, it's not an emergency, like we will proceed with the wrestling tournament as scheduled, like just to kind of calm everybody down. Like I don't know, we were lucky no one else called 911 at
I'm
that
shocked that no one did by
point.
number 3.
Yeah, a lot of people came out to me. Everybody, do you need us to call? Do you need us to call? Do you need us to call? And I was like, nope, her parents are right here. This is the coaches and coaching staffs are aware. We are just, and by the end of that first match, the referee coordinator was aware of it. Said, hey, this person from this school, if she's on a mat, let your officials know. And so we just handled it. And it was part of making sure they understood, and they knew it was coming, and so it did calm everybody down. It was just a matter of letting them know. Sorry if we diverted off topic, but that's kind of
No, that's a good point.
HIPAA be damned speech.
Fortunately, I haven't come across that too much in high school tournaments where like parents and spectators are calling 911 also. But definitely have in like youth tournaments when they're at a thing that's not usually with an athletic trainer working. That's definitely been a problem. So yeah, I do advocate for my athletes with any issues like that. And I do try to tell them, I was like, hey, the second you get to that school, you have to go find that athletic trainer and introduce yourself and let them know what your condition is. And be like, hey, if I pass out, it's okay. It happens all the time. I'm fine. Just so they're not calling 911 on you. And so I try to make the athlete take that into their own hands and really advocate for themselves. So
yeah, you don't want to get caught in that situation where that athletic trainer covering that girl goes down, or she has POTS or whatever it might be. She goes unconscious, and then she comes back and you're like, I have nothing on you. You're not one of my athletes. I need to verify that it's safe for you to wrestle. You're missing your next match because I can't verify this in time. I think that's where that communication issue comes in of, you have all these kids coming to our schools that we know nothing about. And if something does happen that we're not aware of, like, we're going to make sure we know they're safe to go back on. And if we don't have that communication, that can be really hard. So yeah, Ashley, were you laughing at the POTS? Cause yeah.
Because you had one of mine,
Yeah.
and right before she passed out, she told you, I have POTS, and then
she's like mid collapse, like, I have POTS. I'm like, oh, thank you so much for telling. She's gone. Okay.
Well, I think it's important that people learn to ask that, like, is there anyone on your team I need to know about, right? Like, basketball season's coming. We don't travel with basketball. Like, go up to the head coach. Is there anyone on your team that I need to be aware of? Like, usually no, right? And they're going to off topic go, no. But if you catch them during the freshman, JV, sophomore, I don't know, whatever order you go in at your school warm-ups, and you grab a head coach and say, hey, is there anyone on your team I need to be aware of? By the time the varsity game starts, they're going to have thought of the kid on their team where they're like, oh, wait, my athletic trainer told me to tell you.
Yeah,
right?
give them
Like,
a few hours to ruminate on it.
In the moment, they'll be like, oh, no, there's no one. And then, right? But at football, we do it all the time. Hey, just like not this year, but a couple years ago, we had an ACL that was playing and it was torn and we knew it. And so every game I'd be like, oh yeah, if number 14 has an issue, just be aware, like, we might be out there a minute. This is what's going on, right? We had a kid with a lung contusion once. Hey, spitting up blood kind of tracks for him. It's not ideal, but
don't panic if you see frothy blood coming up. Like, yeah, that's something you're gonna panic over.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where you go, yeah, here's his note clearing him. Just go with us on this journey, like, but we do it to other athletic trainers. We just don't always involve the coaches. But we are going into the time where we don't travel with all of our teams, and now's the time to go, hey, head coach, well, I'm here. My name's Katie, and I'm the athletic trainer. Do you have anyone I need to be aware of today?
That's such a great question that I've never thought to ask a coach. I'm always like, hey, this is who I am. This is where you can find me. Holler if you need me. But
Yeah.
I have never asked if they have an athlete that I should know about. That's a
I'm gonna
great
start doing
question to
that.
start
Add that
asking.
as my yeah, that's really good. So it sounds like the consensus is not an issue sharing medical information, correct? Okay. I didn't think
Correct.
so either. I've had maybe one, maybe two athletic trainers get a little bit hesitant to share stuff. But I think they kind of come to the same conclusion where it's like, wait, this is medically relevant information. We're both medical professionals and we can share that. So cool. Want to throw that out there because I've heard that conversation happen before. All right, so
okay, and in preparation for this, hold on, sorry. One
no,
last thing.
back on to the introduction section.
We'll get there. No, but I just wanted to say, because I think it falls into this. I think I did pull it up and I used Google AI for my information. So if you need to deep dive, go to the actual websites. But I'm pretty sure our licensing covers that. Like, if we're covered crossing state lines to like cover our teams, like it's got to cover us in state to be sharing information, I would guess. So just to add that on to part of why we do licensure and sunset is coming and pay attention to all the things. I'm pretty sure that was part of why licensure was important, was so that if you had to travel with your team out of state, you were still covered by your licensing laws. So I think that plays into this. So just food for thought. Now we can move on.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a little bit too, because I want to go over, not today, but I want to go over the
Right.
compact. Is that what it's called? The AT compact that is like providing guidance for crossing state lines. I know nothing about it right now because I don't cross state lines and I haven't researched it yet, but yeah, we will chat about that in a little bit.
Clarity Act is what it's called, I believe.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. We're getting back on the exit.
Compact. I just scrolled down. Sorry. I'm not helping with the hosting today, CJ.
You are all good. All right, we're going to move on to section 1 before Katie can grab the steering wheel and steer us right back into this half an hour introduction. Okay, so we're going to chat about expectations of the hosting athletic trainer. And this one's super interesting to me because I think there's a lot of good discussion to be had, and I think there's going to be a lot of opinions. Not all of them will be right. Not all of them will be wrong. So I'm excited to see what your guys' thoughts are. My kind of background story on this, why I'm so excited, is I worked covering D3 lacrosse when I was in grad school, and we were playing UVA's lacrosse team. I think it was their club lacrosse team. And it was like our preseason game. And so we were going up to Charlottesville, to just kidding. They're fantastic people up there. Go Hokies. To cover the lacrosse game. And their athletic trainer sent to our athletic trainer a whole, like the EAP, like a welcome, here's where you can go, all this information. And my preceptor took all the students aside, says, hey, look at this. This is an example of excellent communication that we should be doing every single time we travel somewhere. And she's like, I'm going to implement this into ours because I don't think they had it at the time. So that was kind of stuck with me of, oh, that's really cool. We should do that. And so where I kind of want to start this conversation is that whole packet ensures that the kids, the athletes, whoever it may be, is getting the best care possible. So I think the most important thing to talk about when we talk about expectations of the hosting athletic trainer is to remember that athlete-centered medicine, which is what we all are part of, the athlete comes first, involves communicating. There's really no way to do it without communicating and collaborating. Thoughts?
I think that's awesome. I do feel like I even need to get better, maybe at the beginning of the season, to go down the list of all the schools I'm playing and just make sure I have that athletic trainer's contact info, and that I've, at least right at the beginning of the season, reached out and been like, hey, I'm the athletic trainer at the school. Like, I know we play each other this season, so holler if you need me. Just even that, I think, would be super helpful, so that that line of communication is open and they feel like they can contact you easier. Now with football and lacrosse, a little more intense sports, I do think it is the host athletic trainer's responsibility to reach out. So if you are hosting a visiting team that is outside of your normal district coverage, they are maybe not familiar with your stadium and your stadium's EAP, then yeah, I do think you need to be reaching out and making sure that they have all that information. Or at least at basic your contact information, and say, hey, we will do our pre-game little meeting and we'll go over the EAP real quick, and this is where it will be, and this is and just kind of plan that ahead of time. That's always a great idea. For every other sport that doesn't travel with an athletic trainer, that's not as necessary, but yeah, even reaching out and making sure that the athletic trainers all have your contact information would be a fantastic idea.
I like that. And like you said, it opens up the line of communication, because I'm just thinking if Ashley were to text me and I'm at a different place throughout the year, or throughout that season, I'm going to be thinking. And then if I have a kid who gets injured, I'm like, oh man, there's this complicated taping that I do. They're going to X school. Oh, Ashley, isn't she the check? Oh yeah, she's the one who from that school who contacted me. Cool. I'm just going to shoot her a text real fast. Be like, hey, I got this weird tape that seems to work for this kid. Can you do this? Like even small stuff like that, that communication's already open. So it's much more easy to kind of reach back out with anything you might have. Katie.
I don't contact them ahead of time, because a lot of times I look at it and go, oh, they're going to see Ashley. Oh, they're going to go see CJ. But I do kind of, when I do like my weekly, what are we doing this week? On the day before, when I'm talking to them and I hand them their roll of tape and their pre-rep, go, okay, you're going to go see Ashley. Ashley's great. You love Ashley. You're going to be really polite when you go ask Ashley to do this for you. Right. And I used to, because I didn't always know who they were, or I knew they kind of were persnickety about sending tape rolls with them. I would put my business card with a thank you note on my business card in their tape bag. And what I mean by that is an ice bag with a roll of tape and pre-wrap and heel and lace pads in it. But I would drop my business card in there, because it's an extra reminder of, hey, if one of these children get hurt while they're with you, this is the person you call. Because we all have maybe we don't all have business cards. I always had business cards, and I had a ton of them that I didn't know what to do with. It's a really good reminder of, hey, here's our athletic trainer.
I like that a lot.
Here's her bundle of tape. Here's Katie. You can contact her because she said thank you for taking care of her athletes. And so it was just like I don't know. It was a stupid little touch, but when you have 6 athletes getting taped for basketball for whatever reason that season needed all 6 girls basketball players to be taped, it was like, okay, I'm sorry, I know there's 6 of them, but you can call me if you need to. But also I'm gonna shout out our little organization here, because I'm gonna shout out CHSAA first. I want to make sure that they get their flowers for this one. The beginning of the fall season, they sent out a memo, and they must have done it for winter too, because I just had this happen, about doing pregame timeouts. And we talked about on maybe our last one about the refs not coming, or the head coaches not coming. Our first hockey game, the referees were like, where's your athletic director? Why isn't he here? And I was like, because we play 40 minutes from the school, sir. Traffic. But they were serious about having both head coaches, both athletic directors, or whoever the representative was, the athletic trainer, about actually having them in that pregame meeting for the discussion. And which, like, I don't cover hockey. Maybe they did it last year and I just don't know. But that was new to me. And I was like, oh, look at us with our pregame timeouts that CHSAA said we should all be having. And the officials grab onto one thing that CHSAA says every year, and that was the thing they grabbed onto. And I was like, good job, CHSAA. You have them at least thinking about where's the athletic trainer going to be in this fiasco of an ice rink.
The seed has been planted.
The seed was planted. Good job, CHSAA. But also we started doing, it goes in the officials locker room, or we're going to figure out where to put it for lower level sports, specifically for games that, like, I don't know, C-level soccer, we might not be on campus for, or whatever it is, that like there's too many things going on. That game doesn't have someone directly available for it, right? Where it's just like, here's a mini EAP, here's the closest hospital, here's where to send them, and here's the athletic trainer's contact information and the athletic director. If something major happens, call them, right? Like, we know there's no one around. We're sorry no one's around. They're probably around here somewhere, but if you need 911, call 911 first and then call us. And we'll get to you when we can, all of that information. But it's like a little 3 by 5 card, right? Like, it's not meant to be this huge thing. It's got the EAP linked on it. So if they wanted to pull it up and have all the EAP information, they could, but it's at least getting the officials the information for the emergency.
I like that. Yeah, keep it in their emergency kit.
Yep.
I love that. I kind of want to print something up like that for my visiting locker room, like just to even have it posted somewhere so that the coaches can find it super easily.
They're trying
I like that.
We're still in the process of, I believe colleges do this, CJ, which is probably where you ended up getting us here, but I think it came from the idea of CU doing it for theirs. But just like the officials having it, at least our home team coaches having it laminated in their bag somewhere, something where it's like, hey, no, we know you count on us a lot, but when there's only one or two of us, we're just not always going to be there. So know it. Here you go, at least,
It's so funny. Every time we do an episode, we're like, we come away with like 4 more projects we need to work on. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm more busy than I was before. So before we move on to the next topic, I do want to touch on 2 things that you mentioned, Katie, with the sending tape. So every school has a different budget, and I've been at a school that had a very, 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 very small budget and a school that's had a very large budget. And I've had that same situation where a basketball team comes in, and it's always the team that has the biggest kids and the biggest feet, and it takes so much tape to do an ankle tape. And I've had 8 kids line up. And I'm like, hey, I need both ankles. I need both ankles. I need both ankles. And it's mostly preventative. I'm like, did you guys bring tape? I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, I just burned through like 15 rolls of tape on you guys. And if I have the small budget, that's pretty damaging for the rest of my season. So what are your thoughts on, I always make sure I send whatever materials I need because I know I've bought them and I've managed, like, they're my athletes, right? So I know I have enough to get them through the season. Other athletic trainers might not. They might not have enough of this, or they might be running low on Elasticon or whatever it may be. So I always sent it. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I always felt like it was something that the traveling AT should do, but I know it's definitely not always happening, and there's not really consensus on it. So I wanted to get y'all's thoughts.
Well, I don't like prophylactically tape any of my athletes. So I don't worry about the general number, but if I have an athlete with, hey, yeah, I know we need to do this tape job, I send them with that little ice bag of their tape, and I'm like, here's your tape, whether your coach is going to end up having to do it or you can find the other team's athletic trainer, this is what you hand them. And like, hopefully then if it's a weird tape job, I've taken a picture and I've had them do a video so that they can see it, like my super weird tape job for them. But yeah, I always try to send the athlete with the tape. And I tell them not to expect it because, one of the biggest things I run into is if I'm like not in my office and we're out at a stadium game type thing, I only have the limited tape I have with me, and that's it. So yeah, and I've come across the running out. Yes, I have too. So yeah, you got to send them with it.
Yeah, especially when we do those back-to-backs at a stadium and I burn all of my tape in the first game, and then the second team starts coming like, hey, and there's like 10 of them, like, guys, who's injured? I have enough tape for 3 ankles. I'm only going to tape 2 of you because I need to keep some tape in case something happens in the game. Like, there's only a limited amount of supplies we can carry. So that's a really good, another good argument for sending your kids with tape, because then they have their own. Katie.
Yeah, you guys just said you've turned people away, and I've never been at a school where the budget was an issue. I will never turn a kid away if they come and ask me for something. The only time I've turned kids away is KT tape because I don't carry it in my kit. We might have some in the training room, but I will not carry it in my kit. It is not for game time application. It's not going to stay on anyway. But that being said, if you're an athletic trainer who refuses to tape a kid because they don't bring their own tape in, like, you don't know what their history is. And I understand, like, sometimes it's on me. And here's my answer to that. If you don't have tape, if you don't have a budget, and I have 6 kids walk into your room and they all want to get taped, call me. I'll send it to you. I'll ship you a box. I'll ship you a box or a flat, what are they, 8 on the sheet? I'll send you all 8 rolls because you tape 2 of my kids, if that's what you need. I'm happy to send you what extras I've used of your supply if my kids forgot to come in, So on the flip side of that, like, so many times kids would come back and be like, they refused to tape me. They were mean. They were whatever. Usually they weren't mean. We go through a whole discussion about it. But at the same time, they're like, no, they wouldn't tape me. I just didn't get taped that day. And I'm like, okay, but this is a kid who gets taped every single day. If they would have then sprained their ankle and you would have had to send them on crutches, now I have to figure out how to get your crutches back to you. Like, you're creating a problem. And so part of this job is taking care of kids. We're going to take care of the kid that walks through the door every single time. If they come in and they're like, I need all of this. Okay, hold on. Does it make sense? Right? Like, okay. Yes, that sounds exactly like the injury you had. It does sound like you needed this, right? Like, I'll put an ACE wrap on a kid. Please bring this back to me after the game if I need it back, like that type of thing. But I hate that we won't tape you answer, because what if it was me? What if it was my bad and I didn't get their coaches the tape they needed because the captain wasn't on top of, or captain of the tapers sometimes is who they become, but they didn't come and get their tape that day, or
which happens
they
a
went
lot.
to California and I sent them with 15 rolls of tape and that wasn't enough, or they, whatever the reason is. For me, my answer is, if it's my school and they show up, anybody, if you're wondering, send me an email. I'll let you know which school you can contact. In fact, if it's any of the Cherry Creek School District, you can contact any one of us. We'll happily send you some rolls of tape if you're going to refuse to tape our athletes, because we'd rather just send you a couple extra rolls than not have our athletes taped.
Yeah, I think if you have the ability to tape them, tape them.
Exactly.
If it's a financial issue, I think it's fair to reach out and be like, hey.
And I think sidelines is a whole different, like, if you're covering 7 soccer games that day, like, it's already hard to prepare for that. Like,
it's tough.
It's tough. And when you're out of tape, you're out of tape. Like, there comes that for years, you don't get taped on game day just because it's game day, because Katie has to prepare to bring tape with her to that game. And I get to tape based on how many of you I tape each day, because it turns out I can get the same number of tape rolls out every single day. So I know how to prepare for the football game that we have on Friday night, because I know we use X amount of tape rolls every day, and then to bring a few more just in case. So it's as a matter of planning. Yes, agree. But again, we're talking about communicating ahead of time. And so if you're already doing it ahead of time, they're going to know that they're coming. So I will always shoot a text. Hey, I have 4 tapers coming in. Hey, really sorry. I have 8 tapers on my basketball team. Sorry about
that.
That
also helps that AT do their schedule. If they're big into doing rehab and have 2 ACLs coming through, and then they have a couple people that are doing hands-on stuff before the game, during the JV game, whatever, that helps them give a heads up of, okay, I'm going to have a lot of kids coming from this school. I need to kind of clear that part of my schedule to make sure I'm available to get them taken care of.
And in our league, we have done a good job for years, most of us, about saying, hey, I have 2 kids coming. Do you have do you use a hydroculator in your training room? Some people don't use heat, which is fine. Yeah. And again, it's fine. Mine conveniently broke at one point, and I was like, "Oh, we don't have sorry," because it's a mess, and you have to clean it. And anyway, not besides the point.
All just for gate theory. Yeah, sorry. I shouldn't have said that. We need to stay on track.
Veer back to topic. So someone will say, "Hey, I have 3 varsity players that actually do X, Y, and Z before the game. Is it okay if they come in and do that?" Or I have 2 JV players, 4 varsity players that do X, Y, and Z before the game. Can they come in and do that? Right. And so we got within our league good about communicating, hey, you're going to see these players. And just so ahead of time, it's like a constant communication with. It was nicer when the girls were there away and the boys were home, or vice versa. But now, like, if they're all coming one place, it's like, hey, 15 boys coming in, sorry about it, but it's like JV and varsity girls and boys are going to the same school at the same time. It's like, oh, sorry, you have all the varsity kids and I have all the freshmen and sophomores who are afraid of the training room still, so it's
terrifying. So is that,
but But it's just like prior communication, because our 8 schools in our league do a really good, it's all been the same people for so long. So, like when it's like this fall, we were playing one of the same schools we always play against. And I had like 3 of the programs on my campus and he had 2 over there. And he like legit was like, hey, can you go see the flag football coach? She needs a pair of scissors. Hey, can you go? Like it was so we're texting back and forth to communicate for our coaches, because like that's how it was easier. It was just faster. Hey, there's someone on this field of yours that actually needs taped. Can you run up there? And it's like, sure, on my way. you know. So that pre-communication, I don't know what everyone else's league is like. I've been in the Centennial League for long enough that we have been all the same people for a while, but it makes things run smoother. It's great.
So is that on the hosting AT to open up that line of communication, or should they be should the visiting or either AT be proactive in reaching out to the other school? Like what's your, I guess there's a personal preference, and then what should be the professional standard? So if I have a team visiting, should I reach out to the athletic trainer or should they reach out to me? Ashley.
So again, I think I go back to, if it's football or something big that you're hosting at a stadium, then the hosting athletic trainer needs to reach out.
Agreed.
If it's like these basketball games where you're obviously not traveling with your team because the other school has their athletic trainer, then you are sending them with whatever equipment they need. And if you have a special kid, then yeah, you need to be reaching out to that school's athletic trainer to give them a heads up that, hey, I have X, Y, and Z kids that need this. So that's how I think it should go.
Agreed. Katie?
I wholeheartedly agree with Ashley, except for this one word, wrestling.
Wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Wrestling
Like,
does throw a crimp in it.
It is, because I don't even know where they go every weekend, if I'm being honest. And
That's true.
But I try to convince my wrestlers not to tape as often as I can. It's the one sport where I worry about targeting.
Mhm.
And why would you put a bullseye on what's hurting? But I think wrestling falls into the visiting responsibility. If you have a kid that they need to know about, you need to let them know. For the traveling sports where we don't travel with them, I think you if you've got a kid, you got to let that person know. I think it falls on the visiting team to communicate.
Agreed.
So football, home team communicate.
Or home team, go ask the coach ahead of time.
Right. Yeah. Like we talked about.
Like, let's all get really good about training our coaches to know, hey, get to know this athletic trainer. And again, I'm spoiled. I've been in the same league for forever. I would walk up to a coach before I switched schools and they'd be like, you've been here a long time. I recognize you. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, you get to know the coaches from
right?
other schools.
Like you don't even know their name, but they just know you belong to that school because they've seen you so many times.
Mm-hmm.
But then they know who to look for. So that's right. Like, and part of that is just a face, right? When someone goes down and they are in, oh no, this kid is injured mode, they see someone they recognize and they're like, okay, she's here. She made it. I don't have to worry about going to find her, and it makes them feel better. So I think we combo training our coaches and visiting team, get a hold of them ahead of time. We're going to be in a better state.
I think so as well. I'd really like to see that. I think it would make everyone's lives a little bit easier. So that's pre-game. Post-game, there's been an injury. What's the preferred line of communication? Should the visiting school AT have to contact the host AT to get injury information from a kid when that kid comes back to their school and says, hey, I hurt my knee, and say, okay, I'll reach out to the athletic trainer. Hey, what happened? Can you give me some information? Or should the onus be on the hosting AT to proactively send that information to the visiting AT to say, hey, you had this injury. Here's what's going on. Wanted to give you a heads up.
Dramatic emphasis. Hosting AT.
I agree 100%.
Are
the visiting team
dealing with it.
Yeah, the visiting team AT probably doesn't even know about it yet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they can't reach out about something they don't know about.
I think I've gotten one thing come back to me from an away team. Well, that's probably an exaggeration, but I can count on one hand probably over 6-7 years that has come back to me like with an athletic trainer's email or something. Everything comes back from the coaches of the athletes. Oh yeah. And I'm like, did they see the athletic trainer? Yeah. I'm like, okay. I guess we're starting from scratch because I have no idea what that athletic trainer said. I'll try and reach out to them, but yeah, I think it should come back with like an email of, hey, here's what's happened. I think that would be the best practice professionally for athletic trainers to be proactive and do that?
Yeah, mine is usually text communication, but it's like voice to text at the time of it occurring, right? And
Yes.
it's I sure if it was like a contusion, if it whatever, I don't
Use your best
but
judgment. Yeah.
yeah, but like I had a kid who it was the weirdest injury, had no idea. Like what he was explaining didn't make sense. Couldn't get in the mood. He was the epitome of the pain doesn't match the mechanism. And I immediately was on my phone texting. I was like, I don't know. His parents are upset. They're going to take him to the ER. I legitimately don't. I can't eval him because he won't move. Like I don't know. We wheelchaired him to the car. Like I don't have an answer for what it was. And it was a femur fracture. Like it was like a like femoral condyle angular something.
Oof.
The mechanism was not there, you guys. I have no idea. Like whatever torsion he got on his body is crazy. But she was like, "No, his parents were really happy with how you handled it." I was like, "I don't think they should be." But she was like, "No, because I got a hold of them like before they could even get to the hospital, Katie, to be like, what's happening, what's going on?" And they just appreciated the communication. And I was like, "Oh, okay," because I like tried to get him to stand. That wasn't an option, which makes sense now. But like, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go get the wheelchair then." And he like didn't want the wheelchair, and I was like, "One or the other, friend." Like, I don't know. Like, we can't like you're 6'8". Like nobody's carrying you out at here. You either get wheelchair or you walk, and walking's not the option right now. So to me, it's just if that early communication, like, hey, I know this person and they're gonna do a lot better talking to you than they are talking to me right now. Deal with that, you know?
I think a good line of if should I tell the other athletic trainer about this, if the kid can go back into the game and they don't have like huge issues, they're like kind of struggling, but not a ton. Okay, it's safe to not say like document, and then if it's more complicated than what you thought, they can reach out to you. But if the kid can't go back into the game and you're holding them out, or they can't go back in on their own volition, that's something that needs to be communicated. I think that's just kind of be the standard across. All right, last thing in this section, then we'll move on to section 2, which is our last section. How much care do you guys provide to visiting athletes? So this is something that we have kind of talked about with, I can't remember if it's my current or previous employer. I've had athletes come and ask me to have certain things done, and I'm like, again, it goes back to the consent to treat. I'm technically under Good Samaritan right now, so if they're like, "Hey, can you do a joint mob and like do cupping here?" I'm like, technically, I'm not allowed to. So I kind of do like, I'm here if you get injured, I'm here to do proactive taping. What are your guys' thoughts on that as like pregame prep of like, hey, can you do a couple of these things, or even just like after an injury, can you do this or this? I'm like, that feels like it's a little bit beyond Good Samaritan, and just make sure you're stable and okay, or we're able to get back on the court. What are your guys' thoughts?
If it's an existing injury, I will not do treatment unless their athletic trainer reached out to me and gave me the heads up of, hey, you're going to see this kid. Are you able to do X, Y, and Z? In that case, I absolutely will. Like consent to treat doesn't matter. But if it is a kid with an existing injury that claims they've been seeing their athletic trainer and I still know nothing about them, I'm probably going to do the absolute bare minimum that I can. I'm going to be like, hey, look, you're here, it's game day. That's not a game day treatment. So this is what I can provide for you. Does that sound good to you? Great. But then if it's, I do often get the kids who come in like, hey, I hurt my ankle like 3 weeks ago. And I was like, cool. Have you been seeing your athletic trainer? No. Do they even know you hurt your ankle? No. I was like, cool. Do you think I can work miracles in this 5 minutes before your game starts? Like, and so we'll have a little bit of a talk and I'll do like a quick little eval. And if they can get them to play, I might tape them kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not doing treatments mostly because they're probably not game day appropriate anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna say game day treatment is game day. It's game day. It's
Yeah.
not something I'm not even my ACL athletes on game day. They're doing smaller treatment session that day because they got to go. We're not doing treatments. I'm not here to rehab. We're not planning out like goals. We got to have goals. We got to have a standard. We got to progress. We got to know what we're doing next. I don't know you enough. I will say I would be careful using Good Samaritan as your answer, because you are a licensed, educated athletic trainer, and that doesn't always fall under Good Samaritan. I know that because of EMT. You are not a Good Samaritan when you are a trained EMT. So when you show up to an accident and you start working, you better stay within your scope, right? And so here's the thing: game day injury falls fully within the scope of athletic training.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rehab portion where I think you have the leeway to say, listen, you don't do your rehab at this school. I don't know you. I don't know all of the details of your injury. We're not providing rehab here. We're not providing massage here. We're not providing excess of what gets you actively ready. Track meets. We're not doing calf massages. Like, if your athletic trainer does them for you daily, that's great. You have a really great athletic trainer. I need you to figure out how to run today. If you show up with a hamstring strain on game day, I can't make you run. Like, it's just not, it's not safe either. So like, why don't show up and be like, well, I pulled it yesterday. Okay, then you're not running today is my good answer for you. But make your decisions based on that. I just think we should give grace on that Good Samaritan bit, because I don't think you fall as a Good Samaritan anymore. You got to say you're an athletic trainer and this is with or without your scope of practice.
Yeah, I think the gray areas when they ask like, hey, can I have e-stim and or ultrasound and combo, because my athletic trainer always does it before the game. I'm like, that's pretty excessive for getting, like, I'll do it for my kids because we know that's the treatment, the plan of care. It helps get through the game. But like for other kids, I'm like,
No,
that's
I don't have your
beyond.
medical history. I don't have access to all that information. Your athletic trainer better have texted me beforehand to say, hey, can you do this ultrasound? Is your machine calibrated? Is it working?
Yeah,
I know people who like intentionally have that thing hidden and it hasn't been calibrated in years because they're like, nope, we don't need this. They'll send them to PT or whatever to get that ultrasound done. So like, don't send your athletes somewhere with that expectation unless you've communicated ahead of time, which is what we keep saying.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've had schools reach out and communicate and ask me if I can do that for a player. And I will have legitimately been like, I am so sorry. I have like 4 other games on campus going at the time. I just don't think I can be able to, I don't think I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys can't do it at your school before they leave, then I'm so sorry. They're probably not going to get that treatment today.
Yeah. And it's not going to be the end of the world.
Nope.
They'll make it through.
They will survive.
All right. So moving into section 2 is our final section, and we're going to discuss how to improve shared coverage. So I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed in my career here is athletic trainers in the high school setting work solo, and they thrive solo, and we, we're really good at triaging, figuring out where we need to be, and we're really, really good at getting everything done more than we have any right getting done, because that's just kind of our job. We run in a billion different directions. And I think that starts to become familiar, and that starts to become safe, and that starts to become easy. And I'm curious is, I've had the opportunity to work with other ATs in my district, shifting around schools. And at first it's intimidating because you're like, I don't know. Like, I think one of the big things with athletic training is our treatment styles vary so much. There's so many different perspectives of how we want to handle things. And I think that's a little bit intimidating when you're communicating with other athletic trainers. If Ashley's like, I stick them in a whirlpool and I just have a straw going up above the water for them to breathe, they're completely submerged. And you have another athletic trainer who's like, I don't have ice in my entire clinic. Those are two huge, like, vastly different perspectives. So it's intimidating because when I do something one way, I'm doing it because I think that's the best way to do it. And somebody else is doing it a different way, which might be completely opposite of mine because that's what they think is the best way to do it. I think that's intimidating. And I think a lot of us fall into that trap of, well, I'm doing my school. Nobody's kind of over my shoulder. We're not collaborating. So this is the way I do it. And I'm nervous to talk to other ATs about what I'm doing because they might see a different thing. And instead of like having it be a collaborative, it's more of a, well, this is how I do it my way. So I think that's kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just trying to figure out the psychology of high school athletic trainers and how we kind of fall in our bubble and then kind of stay in our safe place, and how that might lead to us not being as proactive communicating. Cause I've definitely found it myself where it's much easier for me to communicate now that I'm shifting between schools than it was when I was at my own school. I'm less in my little bubble. So I want to get y'all's thoughts on it.
Oh, I'm the perfect person to answer this because I work directly every single day, and because Gracie's going to listen, she could attest to this. We have very opposite treatment methods. My coworker and I, very like, not. Here's the thing. Conclusion, same every time. What we do for treatment, totally different, which is fine. It's all about communicating. And I think both of us have a lot of respect for the other one. So if he wants to dunk an ankle in an ice bucket immediately upon the injury happening, okay, he got there first. That's fine. If I'm going to start doing movement and other stuff, the next day when they come in, if they go straight to him and they're going to do what he's going to do with them that day, and then he's going to tell me, hey, we did this today. And then I come back, and if they see me the next day, and it's currently because I'm new, they'll come in and say, well, he said that I should do this. And I go, okay, tell me exactly what he said. And then they're like, well, I don't know. He just told me. And I go, cool. You have to be old enough to tell me what he diagnosed you with and what his treatment was. And then let's see if we can treat it today. But in our training room, things are moving so fast. If you're going to wait for one of us, you might wait 40 minutes before we get to you. Or instead of waiting, you can tell me what the other one diagnosed you with and what they did for you yesterday. We'll see what we should do today. And it's just that communication piece. We're working on the documentation side to match up. But I think that's a big piece of it. If you work with someone, if you are adamantly against what they're doing, have a respectful conversation about it. Be like, I'm never going to do that. I'm never, whatever, and I don't understand, or what's the science behind it? However you want to ask that, that's great. But here's what I know. I have a lot of respect for that athletic trainer. I have a lot of respect for almost all athletic trainers, except for the ones who present themselves as ones that aren't. But I'm gonna let you do your thing because you believe in it, and I respect you as a working professional until you prove me wrong. But I'm also gonna err on the side of safety. Like if I'm like, oh, you can't do that, that is not safe, we're gonna have a whole different discussion about it. But I think it's just the respect issue of being like, nope, this person has been working a really long time. They know what they're doing. I'm going to let them do it. And they clearly have results. So we're going to do it. He's going to do it his way. I'm going to do it my way. We can co-treat and do it both ways on an every other day basis if necessary. But you'll find, kids like one way better than they like another. It all works out.
Ashley?
Yeah. And so in a perfect world, in these situations, your injury documentation is the way you communicate the best. However, we are all so busy that we probably don't get the detailed injury documentation in that we need for that kind of written handoff care day to day. But again, it's you try to communicate about the athletes that are actually needing the big things. So you guys are kind of on the same page. And if they're not one of those athletes, then you can probably figure out what's going on that day and make your own decisions on how you're going to treat it for that day. And yeah, I don't think any athletic trainer should be held to, well, Katie does it this way, so you have to do it this way. And nope, sorry, that's if you want Katie, then you got to wait for Katie. And I think we do have to normalize that for sure.
And I would encourage being careful about verbiage. I think we've all had this issue, whether we're on the receiving end or the other end of it, where kids will go back to the school. I know I've had athletes come back and they say, well, this person said you didn't know what you were doing, and they did it this way, so they did this tape. And I'm like, well, they probably didn't say that one. But I think it does bring up a good conversation of words matter. You might have said something, but they perceived it in a different way or a different manner. So I think that is something to be thought about. Like I've had an athletic trainer who I know they have my number because we've talked, we've emailed, and this athlete had MTSS, and I typically do an Achilles tendon tape to alleviate pressure on the MTSS, and it works great. This athletic trainer was adamant that a shin taping had to be done. So he refused. The athlete asked twice, according to the athlete, and he refused to do it. And he taped up that shin, and the coach was super upset because that athlete couldn't play because it hurt so bad. And the athlete was like, he wouldn't tape me this way. He's like, well, this is a better way. I'm gonna do it this way because she said it was shin splints. So I think that verbiage, that might have been a totally professional, like, hey, you have this. I think this would be better for you. Let's do this. Could have been a totally professional conversation, but I think you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, what's been working for them? Be careful with your verbiage, but if you think this might be better, but this has been working for them, do what's familiar for them if they're the visiting athletic trainer, or the visiting athlete, excuse me. Because you don't want them to come back to the other school and be like, this athletic trainer said that this would work, and I couldn't even play in the game because it hurt so bad because they would not tape me the way that I asked to be taped. Ashley.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I believe I've had one of your athletes, CJ, a couple years ago. I think it was a soccer kid. And they were like trying to explain this tape job to me. And I was like, I cannot figure out what you're talking about. So I'm pretty sure I called you and been like, all right, walk me through it step by step. What are we doing? And fortunately, you were able to kind of like walk me through it. So,
and I think it was an easy one, wasn't it?
It was, but it was something that I feel like you made up. I've never learned that. It was
probably
cool, but
was
I
it
like,
under
yeah,
the
I have
arch
no
one?
idea.
Because I do that a lot for
Yes.
I learned that from I was covering D1 track back in Virginia, and this athletic trainer was like, yeah, I made this up, but it makes sense. Like you go from lateral, you go under the base of the fifth, so you're not hitting it, but then you pull up on the navicular so that the navicular is stabilized. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I've tried it out, and some people, the Achilles tendon taping does not work, but that taping will. Yeah, it's funny because I'm like, it's one strip of tape pulling one way. You couldn't explain this. I think I gave him such a hard time when he got back. I was like, dude, this is such an easy tape. You couldn't explain it. And he's like, I'm sorry, I got confused.
The way they can't explain it, though, is amazing because
it's a skill.
We use a lot of foam. By we, I don't mean me, but our training room uses a lot of foam. And like they used to come when I was at the other school, they'd be like, well, he puts foam. I'm like, I don't know what that means even,
And they don't even know
like,
where.
No.
They're like,
but
somewhere around here?
Exactly. I don't know. He uses that one in foam. And I'm like, I used to not even have the foam. Now I know I will buy it forever because I actually use it quite a bit now that I've seen the other taping methods he used and I know what they're used for. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, now it makes sense. Having a child explain to you what it's for, the amount that not a single kid can remember Tom, Dick, and Harry. Not at all. They're like, well, he said some guy's names yesterday, and I'm like, oh, okay, so Tom, Dick, and Harry. Got it.
I mean, in their defense, it got you to where you needed to be.
Yeah, but if you just did one, if you were like, oh, you have a tib posterior strain, they like can't. Nope, there's nothing there for them. They have no reference for what that injury is, and you're like, okay, so did he tape your ankle? Yeah. Was it a normal ankle tape? I don't know. Okay. Was there any special tape in it or was it just white tape? It's just white tape. Oh, okay, good. Then we can just tape your ankle. Okay, when you go to another school, the amount of times, I say it probably every day right now because they have to go to another school right now. We don't travel with them, right? I need you to hear me say this. If he tapes you that way, when you go to another school, not just me, I'm in the same room with him. I can yell across the room and be like, hey, how'd you do this one? You need to know. Otherwise, they're going to call me and I'm going to have to ask him while you're there, sitting on a table in front of someone. That's going to be embarrassing for you. So, like, just even if you do nothing else, tell the kid how to explain their tape. They all think they know, too, which is, I think I can tape an ankle just from watching you so many times. You don't even know that I'm taping your ankle right now, kid.
Ashley,
sorry, this is my mini rant.
No, you're good. Any thoughts on that, Ashley, before we move on to the last topic?
Yeah, just that it kind of, I said this at the beginning. If I have a kid with an interesting tape job, I try to make them record me taping it so that any other athletic trainer can watch that video and repeat it.
That's cool. I like that.
I've sent videos too.
One of the ATs
when they're
that
specialty jobs.
Yeah, one of the ATs that I help cover his school, he has the most intricate tape jobs. It's a struggle for me. I'm like, how do you do this again? And I finally figured out like how to do them, and they work. The kids love them. But for the life of me, like some of them I cannot remember. So yeah, educate the kids on what they need done so that they can tell. I had a kid come in. It was at that same school, and I was like, okay, so how does he do this? Oh, I'm not sure. How do you do this? I'm not sure. Okay, well, we're gonna wait for him to be done. Let me see if I can go trade off with him because you can't tell me literally anything. And it was a simple, like I think it was like turf toe. And the kid could just not get there. He couldn't even tell me it was his toe. He was telling me it was his foot. I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, educate the kids. That'll help a lot, I think, with the hosting AT being able to do what they need to do. All right, last one. I do not know how I feel about this, so I'm interested to get your guys' thoughts. I've kind of been on both ends of I've been annoyed, but also I think it's best practice, and I've liked it. So we usually have for football, we have docs on the sidelines, and a lot of times we'll utilize those docs to give an evaluation and see what they think. We don't do that with other athletic trainers ever. Not that I've seen, at least. I mean, if it's a colleague that I work in the same district, they'll be like, hey, can you take a look at this kid? But if it's an athlete, actually, there's one athletic trainer who she's been awesome to work with that I've had that with. But what are your thoughts on having other ATs do a quick and dirty eval? You give them the, hey, here's what's going on. Like, I got this kid. Do you mind if you get a few minutes, like maybe at halftime or before the game after everyone's taped up? Can you just take a quick look at him and see what you think, just so I can get another perspective because I'm kind of stumped. What are your thoughts on having that exchange?
All the time.
I love that exchange. Yes.
I'm gonna name drop Brenna because I for sure have
Ditto.
she's the queen of it. Hey, this team's gonna be there anyway. Can you look at this and tell me what you think it is? And I'll do the same to her because we'll go back and forth on it. Like, here's the thing: I've fielded calls from people who are like, what am I missing? What is this missing? And I will tell you, I am the queen of thinking of zebras because I assume that every athletic trainer checks for the horses. And so if you call me and you're like, hey, I have this, and this, I will differential diagnostics for you over the phone all day. But yeah, Brenna has sent me an athlete and been like, hey, this person's coming with the basketball team today. If they come in, will you look at them? Sure, absolutely. Whatever you want. So even not during football, which football is great. And again, I work with someone else. So like before we send to urgent care or whatever, like we usually have the other person get hands on too and be like, am I feeling this? Do you feel this? Like, what do you think? So we like added bonus of having two of us in the athletic training room, but all the time if they're visiting, I'm like, hey, you're going to be going to see Ashley anyway. Ask her if she'll say, Katie asked if you could evaluate my knee and see what she says it is. And then like, oh, Katie sent you to me to get my opinion. Cool. If they do it on their own without saying that, that's weird. And sometimes I say no because I'm like, are you just trying to like get a different opinion than what your athletic trainer said and be like, Katie said I could go back to play today, and I'm not going to give you that answer if that's what you're looking for. So if they don't come and say, CJ told me to come see you, Katie, I'm going to be like, why do you need me to do it? CJ's a good athletic trainer. You should listen to whatever CJ said.
Yeah, I think definitely give the AT a heads up so you can avoid that situation. But is this more common? Have I just not run into it as much? Or is it more of you guys have certain ATs that you've known for a while that you're more comfortable with doing? Or is this like a standard practice that you guys consistently do?
No, I think this is people I've worked with for a while. We know each other really well and we're very comfortable with each other. We are constantly reaching out about, I have this. What do you think? What am I missing? We do that.
And it's probably a comfort level of being like, listen, I hate doing a hip and back eval, but I know that Brenna's a really good hip and back eval person. And so like, it's also like an insecurity of being like, I'm not going to tell everybody that I hate doing the hip. Well, I'm telling the world, but that's not my point right now. But like, it's also like, hey, I know this person is a lot better at it than me. I'm going to let them do the assessment. Also, just like confirm that I'm right because I've got a couple ideas, but can you just confirm that, like, make sure that I'm not missing an elephant and that this is what I should be doing.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, it is often I know I'm not thinking of something I need to be thinking of. And
Right.
sometimes it's the simplest thing. They'll be like, oh, have you checked this? I'm like, ah, yes, I'll check that real quick. That's
Right.
great. Thanks.
These are also the same people I call to debrief after a medical emergency as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
did I
Agreed.
what could we have done differently?
Hmm.
What could we change? Like, yeah, my boss is going to do that with me. I want my friend's opinion on it, and someone that I trust who I value their opinion of too. And so I think it's the same person. Hey, what am I missing here? Hey, what could I have done better? You want that coming from someone that you trust.
Yeah, cool. I like that. I haven't seen it much at my old school, and I probably didn't do it as much as I could have. But I know Ashley, you and I we've done that multiple times. Where I'll throw out something like, "Did you look at this?" And you're like, "Oh no, I didn't." And you look at it, you're like, "Yep, not that." I'm like, "Cool." And then sometimes vice versa. So, interesting to hear y'all's thoughts on it. And if anyone out there has a different opinion or a different thought, or they've done that before, or anything we've talked about, they've gone over and have something to add in, please let us know. Drop a comment, send us an email, shoot Katie a text. We'll put her phone number on the website. I'm just kidding. We won't do that. That is the last point I wanted to get into though, because I forgot before. My, my preference is email, but my phone is also available to use. But I don't want to get a Saturday afternoon call when I'm off of work when it could just be an email letting me know. And usually ATs are really good about understanding the difference. But do you guys hand out, Katie, I already know your answer just because I know you. Do you guys hand out your phone numbers, or like if you're calling another AT, do you default to email or do you default to phone? I default to email because I just think it's, hey, I'm sending you this information. If you need other things, give me a call. But what's your go-to?
I do phone, and I'll tell you, respect for your time, CJ. When I send a text message on a Saturday evening, Sunday, whatever, if it's off hours, I will head it with read this Monday. Like I do I'm aware some people don't do not disturb their phones. I also don't do not disturb my phone. I also hate notifications, so I have to clear those right away. But some people like they their phone's on do not disturb, but they want the information. I will like put read this on Monday, enter down 2 lines, and then give them the information. And so then it's not like, hey, this is about your athlete. You can wait till Monday to have it. It's just, I need to send it so I don't forget anything to send you. Um, I don't know. I can't stand notifications on my phone. I'm going to read it whenever I see it. But I also like if I don't answer, I didn't answer and I have other things I have to do. Don't call me 4 times. But yeah, I give out my cell phone number. I'd rather just have the information.
I am cell phone 100%. I have never ever emailed another athletic trainer. I'm so sorry. I don't have time for that. Like, but I can do a quick voice to text and or call you real quick and have a quick conversation. That is just a million times easier for me. So if you want the information, that's how you're going to get it from me. like and I prefer people call me and I don't mind getting calls. Even Saturday night amid something, I will always step out and take a call for an injured athlete, and especially if it's something that I need to be communicating with parents and organizing care before I even see them Monday. So I'm of the I have no work life
Right.
balance, so call me. But
My cell phone is for sure not meant to be given to parents, though. The athletic trainers have it.
Oh
You
yeah.
can call me and give me that information all the time. If you are looking at one of my athletes and you're like, okay, but here's Katie's phone number, and they call me on a Sunday, I'm calling you on Sunday and be like, did you really think that that parent needed my cell phone number on the weekend? My cell phone number is for the athletic trainers, and I will give it to you 100% of the time. But if you give it to a parent, you're gonna hear me a little spicy about it.
I think that's the pushback with cell phones. I think is that work life balance part that you mentioned, Ashley. And I have Outlook on my phone, so it's easy. It's just as easy for me to send a text as to send an email because it's just right there, which I'm actively considering removing, because then I can't disengage.
yeah.
I have to actively do something to disengage, but then it's always there on my phone. I can always see it. Even if it's on a different screen, I always accidentally slide over, and somehow my finger finds the Outlook button, and I find emails. So I'm trying to make an improvement on that. I think, I think calling is ideal to give them a heads up. I think also texting, I think texting, you have to give them written stuff that they can put in their documentation. But I think the bare minimum should be at least send an email. And if you're hesitant, like with this contact list, if you're hesitant to have your phone number out there, that's okay. Put your email, give us some way of contacting so that we can share that list and get in contact with you. Anything is better than nothing, I think, is kind of the gist of this episode. Is let's start improving that communication and let's start working more together. And even if it's something where I already know the diagnosis, but I'm like, hey, I don't know Katie super well. What do you think about this? Can you take a look? And then that makes her feel more valued for her opinion. It just helps build connections. We're starting to work together. And I'd really like to see that happen a little bit more as we continue to grow the profession. I think it's somewhere that we can easily make pretty big improvements on communicating with one another. So any final thoughts before we get out of here?
On our topic, when we were talking about, do you call other athletic trainers, either email them to us or post them on social. We'll have Emma post a Instagram thing where people can send a story of a weird diagnostics where you needed to reach out and be like, hey, am I doing this right? Or you guessed it right the first time. There's always those feel really good when you get them and you're like, ooh, good old training that I had in my education killed that. But any weird, or if you currently are stuck on one and you're like, this just isn't working, but it seems like that it's the classic diagnosis of what this injury should be, but my treatment's not working. What should I do different? Send us an email. Shoot it, coata.ssc@gmail.com.
Nailed it. Twice in one episode. Holy cow. Yeah, feel free to reach out to us, please. And I think even if you're using your rehab to help you diagnose something, which I think a lot of us do, like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's this, but we're going to see how this responds over the next couple of days. Well, if they're leaving that night to go to a basketball game, reach out to that athletic trainer and be like, hey, think we might have this. You want to take a second look if you get a free chance, and just let me know what you think. Just to get a second opinion, start building those bridges, start connecting with other ATs in the state. I think it'd go a long way. So that's all for today's episode. Thank you again to Ashley and Katie for hopping on and sharing your perspectives. I think it's super important, especially given we've all been at vastly different schools in different areas. So it's good to get those perspectives from different areas. If you guys enjoyed the conversation, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share the podcast, leave some feedback. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what your strategies are so that we can keep on improving and share that to everyone else. And then we also want to hear what you want to hear about, so we make the show consistently improving and make it better and more relevant for what you guys need in your everyday life. So new episodes are released every other Friday, so be sure to check back for the next one. I believe we're going over youth sports specialization, so be sure to look out for that. But until next time, thank you so much for listening and take care.